I'm Alex Sharfin, and this is the Momentum Podcast, made for empire builders, game changers, trailblazers, shot takers, record breakers, world makers, and creators of all kinds. Those among us who can't turn it off and don't know why anyone would want to. We challenge complacency, destroy apathy, and we are obsessed with creating momentum so we can roll over bureaucracy and make our greatest contribution. Sure, we pay attention to their rules, but only so that we can bend them, break them, then rewrite them around our own will. We don't accept our destiny, we define it. We don't understand defeat because you only lose if you stop, and we don't know how. While the rest of the world strives for average and clings desperately to the status quo, we are the minority, the few, who are willing to hallucinate there could be a better future, and instead of just daydreaming of what could be, we endure the vulnerability and exposure it takes to make it real. We are the evolutionary hunters, clearly the most important people in the world, because entrepreneurs are the only source of consistent, positive human evolution, and we always will be. Required to go fast. All my life, I both worked with and owned one type of business: hyper fast growth. Very fast growing companies. Every organization, every company I've ever owned, back into when I was in college, grew very, very quickly. Explosive type of growth in a very short period of time. And that's the type of entrepreneurs that I work with. I work almost exclusively with abnormally driven entrepreneurs that create massive opportunities and want to go much bigger than where they are today. Don't really see an end in sight for where they are. Always have known that they were meant to do more, to be more, to leave more behind, to give more away, to make more, to make a massive impact. And working with that type of entrepreneur, you have to be ready to go really fast. And my entire career has been spent working with hyper fast growth companies, all the way back to when I was 21 years old, when I first became a consultant. Two of the organizations I started working with, one was Fuji Digital, which did not exist. It was literally a startup. It was an incredibly well-funded startup because it was part of Fuji, but it was a startup. They had never sold a camera because they were a brand new division, a digital camera division. And we represented SanDisk, which was also a startup, a flash memory company that had never sold before. And in the first few years, both of those organizations grew to the tens of millions in just a few years. And I was there to watch all of it, to see it from the beginning. And in my career, I've owned hyper fast growth companies. The company I owned in my 20s grew to over $250 million. The company I owned after that, a real estate organization that I owned with Katie, grew to almost $40 million. Then Katie and I lost everything to bankruptcy, and we started over from scratch, literally no cash at all, in 2007, and in 2011 our company was on the Inc. 500. It took us 12 months to become liquid millionaires from the date that our bankruptcy was discharged, and we were the 11th fastest growing company in the United States. So when it comes to growing a company fast, I've actually been there. I don't just coach companies to do it. I've done it, and Katie and I have the hardware to prove it. Like, we've been there. It's well documented. You can just search online and see. And these days, I help entrepreneurs just like, I've never had a real big social circle. I've never had a lot of friends. I've never really had a lot of people I hung out with. I've always been fundamentally different than most of the people around me. But today, I have a ton of friends because I started a coaching group for people who are just like me, growing fast growth companies. Unreasonable entrepreneurs who see the world as one big, massive opportunity that can't be taken fast enough. And these days, I love hanging out with my clients because they're exactly like me. And here's what I can tell you. There is a formula that is absolutely crystal clear. If you want your company to grow lightning fast, you have to have some fundamentals in place. But here's the problem with these fundamentals. And I want to make this really clear, because here's who I'm talking to. If you're listening to me right now and you know in your business You have more opportunity than what you're showing. You could be doing more. You could be selling more. You could be serving more people. And you just haven't built the infrastructure around you fast enough. You just don't have the team to support you. You don't know who to hire, when to hire, whatever it is that's holding you back. It has something to do with you getting help. Then I want you to know something. There's no excuse not to grow anymore because we can help you. We are a proven quantity. We do this every single day with entrepreneurs. And I want you to know, I'm going to share with you information that no other coach talks about. Why? Because nobody else knows how to coach companies to really put these things in place. See, it took me over 20 years to figure this stuff out for my own organizations. Even though I figured it out piece by piece and I grew larger and larger companies, what I teach today is a consolidation of information that I've been putting together for literally over 20 years. And here are the 3 things that are required to go fast, continue to grow, and have a business that you actually want to run. The first thing is you have to have a forward-looking strategic plan. If you don't know how to build a clear, forward-looking strategic plan that shows your team where you're going, a clear path to get there, and what they need to do along the way, what it is that you're going to need to do, if you don't have that clear plan where everyone knows exactly where the organization is going, then you are going to have a hard time getting anything done because your team literally has to wait for you to tell them where to go. When you have a clear, forward-looking strategic plan, everyone in the business can make more logical choices moving forward, so you move faster together because everyone knows where you're going. The second thing you have to it's required to go fast, is some type of a communication system where you take the outcomes from that forward-looking plan and you communicate clear outcomes to your entire team. So everyone knows where you're going. They can all tell you what the destinations are, what the goals are, what you're driving towards. You have clear accountability, what each person is doing, so your team's not bumping into each other and running over each other. If you have a small business right now and your team, you know your team could be doing more, start asking yourself, do they all know with clarity what they should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing? And then the third part, not just the outcomes, not just the accountability, but scoreboards. Does everyone know where they stand? If you have a communication system that has those 3 things, your team will go even faster. And now, the last part, and this is crucially important. Now, if you want to talk about something nobody talks about, it's this. You have to have a cadence, a communications cadence and a meetings cadence, where your team knows when they're going to hear from you, what they're going to hear, why they're going to hear it, and what type of an update they're going to get, so that everyone can expect what they're going to or they can anticipate what they're going to hear from you. So that they know they're going to get a company update on around this time of the month. They're always going to know where you're going by this time of the month. They're always going to know the results of the current month by whatever time in the next month. Your team should always have a clear cadence for communication, and you should be having targeted interactions with your team that match up with whatever your planning system is, so that everyone who's strategic in your organization has input, so that and it's on a regular basis, so that your entire team starts to build a new set of muscles. See, what happens when you have a forward-looking strategic plan and a communication system and a cadence, everyone on the team now knows where you're going. They have clear outcomes, accountability, and scoreboards, which now make them better at what they're doing. And then they have a clear cadence where they know when they're going to hear from you. They know what's being measured. They know exactly what's being, and they know how meetings are going to go, how they're choreographed, what's going to be said. So everyone on your team is now anticipating what's coming next. And what happens is this will lower pressure and noise for your team so much that your company will grow and go faster. And if you're willing to make this a major focus for you as the entrepreneur, and I want to make that clear what I just said, for you as the entrepreneur. Now, I absolutely expect you to have somebody helping you do this. I know I do. I have someone who calendars everything for me, who reminds the team that it's coming, who reminds me that it's coming, who puts the paperwork together that I need, so that my entire strategic planning system, what I do is I get to the meetings and the research has been done for me and handed to me. And the communication system that is put together by my team, that is maintained by a member of my team. The cadence is also put together by my team, maintained by a member of my team, but I put the time in. When it's time to show up, I show up. But I make sure all I have to do is show up, because if you do it so that if you set up your company so that someone's helping you put all this stuff together, and we can show you how, and you're not involved in the administration or the logistics, and all you have to do is show up. Here's what happens when you show up in a system like this, and your team knows what to expect from you, and they start seeing you on a regular basis, and they hear from you in the same way, for the same reasons, on the same times of each month, and you're all measuring in the same way, and you're all looking at the same outcomes. What happens is you start to work together at an entirely different level, and your team grows even faster. I know, because on my own, I'm capable of really very little. And I know people like to assume that I'm joking when I say that, but I'm really not. I mean, I get overwhelmed by most things. When there's too many different parts to a system, kind of freaks me out. Like, I'm really good at helping entrepreneurs grow businesses, but on growing a business myself, I need help with almost every aspect of the organization. So what I've become expert in is these three things. And I've been working a forward-looking strategic plan and a communication system and a cadence for over 20 years. How many entrepreneurs do you know that have been strategically forward planning for over 20 years, who have been working on a communication system for over 20 years, who've been using a cadence within their company so everybody knows what's happening at the same time on the same routine in their company for over 20 years? I don't think that person exists. And here's why that's so significant. See, when we show someone how to do an annual meeting in my organization, it's not only the fact that I've done 20 for one of my organizations, often I've done multiple in 1 year, and I've coached hundreds of companies through their annual meetings. And then quarterlies, you as an entrepreneur, you only get 4 cracks at a quarterly a year to build the muscles around a quarterly, the system, the process, to put it all together. I've done hundreds, and I've coached thousands. And when it comes to monthlies, this is where I really have had tons of at-bats, maybe thousands or tens of thousands with all of the clients that we've ever had in a monthly meeting. And so when you look at the cadence, this is that place where having an understanding of each of these interactions and having an expertise around these things, this is why so few coaches even know how to coach this stuff, because they don't even do it for themselves. Less than 1% of companies have a forward-looking strategic plan of any kind. And so if you are one of those entrepreneurs who knows you want more, if you have that restless agitation because you know you're not doing enough, if you know you could be doing more, if the opportunities are there, if you just had more infrastructure, you know you could be actually creating more forward progress, then you owe it to yourself to put these things in place: the forward-looking strategic plan, a communication system, and a cadence so your team knows exactly when they're going to hear from you. And if you want help with these things, like I said before, no one out there is talking about them, because no one out there knows how to do this in a way that's predictable, repeatable, that doesn't bury you in the process and creates momentum and gives you your time back. Other companies out there might tell you that they can help you do these things, but let me show you how you can do this in a short period of time, have a massive impact on your team, and get your time back so that you can start growing at the rate you've always known you should. Go to billionairecode.com, answer a few questions from my team. You'll be given an opportunity to schedule a call. Do so, and we'd be happy to tell you about the programs where we can help you build exactly what I talked about today. This is the Rosetta Stone to growing a business that grows fast. It's a Rosetta Stone to growing a business where you feel safe. And it's a Rosetta Stone to growing a business where you grow increasingly comfortable and you know exactly how to build your team around you. Let me show you how to lower the noise as your company grows, because I guarantee you, the rest of the companies that say they can help you grow and scale, they might be able to help you grow, but they don't know how to help you to lower the noise at the same time. billionairecode.com. Answer a few questions. Let's connect.